Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Fit Chicks Chat. My name's Laura Jackson.
And I'm Amanda Quinn.
And on today's episode, we are back for week 3 of our Kiss, Marry, Kill series, which I really like these. This has been really fun, and the feedback has been really awesome on them. So we might add some more to the mix.
Hmm.
But this week, we are talking about our Kiss, Marry, Kill coaching edition. So, for those of you, if this is the first time you are hearing this or the first time you are watching this, basically, over the last couple of weeks, we have been doing the game. If you have heard of the game Kiss, they use another not so good word, but Kiss, Marry, Kill. So, it, kind of came out that you would talk about, you know, guys or girls that you would in your friend group that you would want to kiss. Who would you want to marry? Who would you want to kill? Or celebrities that you want to kiss, marry, or kill. And we thought, well, why don't we bring that into our business after we'd heard a colleague do it? We're like, well, why don't we look at it through the lens of like, what would we kiss, marry, and kill when it came to fitness or nutrition? And then this week we're going to do coaching. So I'm really excited for this because I love talking about
Me
coaching.
too. Me too. Thank you again, Lori. In case she hears this, for inspiring this because I think it's such a fun idea. It's such a fun concept. So
Yeah.
yes, so we're talking
So
about coaching
yeah.
today. So I think we should start with Kiss because we've been starting with Kiss for all of them, and I think it just makes sense because it goes in line, goes in order. So let me start off. I will start off with Kiss. So what would I kiss when it comes to coaching? So being that AI is such a huge relevant thing in life right now and it's not going anywhere anytime soon, I would say that I would kiss AI, meaning I would use AI as a tool consistently in my business, but I wouldn't commit 100% to any particular tool. So AI is something that I think a lot of people, obviously, if unless you live under a rock, you have heard that AI is kind of taking over. But I think what people are doing with AI is that they're either utilizing it in a way that's like they're just using it for social media and then they're sounding like a robot because they're just like copying and pasting something that the robot is writing, or they're using it just for marketing, but they're not utilizing it in ways that they could, like for data and supporting their clients and analyzing information and using it as a tool to gain more insights on how to, like what trends they're seeing, like patterns or things like that with their clients, right? So if they have a food journal and they submit it to the AI can then tell them some information and actually give them a whole plan around that. But I think when I say kiss, it's like I think that sometimes what happens is we find a tool, and I know even we're guilty of this. You find a tool that you're like, oh, I really like this. I like this AI
Mhm.
tool. I like ChatGPT. I'm going to use this. And then you utilize that, but you don't open yourself up to looking at other tools that could work for you. You don't look at different things that could analyze in different ways or new information or new upgrades and things like that. I think that with AI, I would kiss it because I think that it's a really good coaching tool, but also I don't want you to just completely rely on it. I don't want you to just throw everything in there and you're just like, and now, you know what? Like people also have this misunderstanding that they can just completely step back out of it. They don't have to do anything. Coaching is something that is going to, I believe, have a blend of the two things where it'll have AI where you can utilize it as a tool to help you analyze data, build programming, things like that, but you still need the human element to it. People are hiring a coach because they're hiring you. They're hiring you because they connect to you. They want your support. In a world of AI, we need more coaches. We need more human connection. We need more of that. So I think KISS in the sense of find a way to blend AI into your coaching, but don't let it either A, just become your social media manager and you sound like a robot, or B, that it becomes completely like trying to just utilize it to create programs that you're not putting any personal effort or attention to, because clients will also be able to see through that and they'll probably not feel supported. And then it can cause your business to not grow in the way that you expect it to. So that would be my kiss when it comes to coaching is looking at the way that you're using AI and incorporating it in ways that make sense for your business, but doing it in a way that also makes sense for your clients.
Yeah, and mine, well, it kind of piggybacks off of that because so for me, like the kiss is it's nice to like it's almost like I want to use this thing. I want to have like a relationship with it, but it's not going to be my be all end all. Like it's not my one. It's not the Mary, right? So, and it's not saying to do it for a short term either. This is something you can have in your life for the rest of your life, but it's just not. It's not the only thing. And I think that with AI, that's where a lot of people get it wrong. Is they think it's kind of like the set it and forget it, or like the do it and forget it. Like I just have to like, okay, write me a client plan, and it like pops out the plan, but you still need to direct it. So I always look at AI as like my coaching assistant or my business assistant. Like I'm driving the bus still, but I'm using it to help me brainstorm. I'm using it to fast track certain things, but I'm still leading and navigating it. So I have to have the skill set. We've had this conversation too where a lot of coaches are like, am I going to become obsolete because why can't people just go to AI and just plug in their data and then spit
Mhm.
out a plan? It's like, well, but human beings, number one, we know that people aren't just going to follow a plan. They need also to have different, like we mostly hire coaches to not just get an expertise, but also to have somebody help us change our behavior, right? We know we're like, if we know certain things, but we're not doing them. So it's also around helping that behavior change. But that's where too, I think a lot of coaches, mine was around the idea of like over relying on cookie cutter programs. So it's kind of tied
Mm.
into the AI thing. Either people have these cookie cutter programs that already exist that they just give to everybody and plug their clients in, which
The
is not
worst.
necessarily it's a bad
Literally,
thing, but it's
I think
it's a
it's the
starting
worst.
point, right? Like a cookie cutter program or a framework is great to start with your clients, but your clients don't necessarily really like change for the long term. That's where again you have to understand the art of coaching. So it's like over relying on AI or over relying on a cookie cutter program. It's there for you to, in my opinion, to fast track what it is that you already know, but it's not there to replace it. So I
Mhm.
love the idea, like you were saying, like there is so many softwares out there now. Like I just sent you an image the other
I
day of like the
saw it.
top 10
Yeah.
AIs. It's like, use this one for video editing, use this one for information, use this one for writing social media posts, for reels. So, and like that 10, like I'm looking at the 10 of them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't learn 10 new platforms. And then also the quality of some of them is not great. So I always think like start with one that you really feel comfortable with, which ChatGPT is kind of, it's like the OG. It kind of is doing
Of
everything
course.
right now, right? You can create images with it. And one of the things that I have been talking to students about is again using it for each of their clients to track their progress. So it's not necessarily about writing plans. It's like I'm working with Jane. I'm uploading Jane's intake form. Having that as a like a project, right? I'm uploading Jane's intake form. Keep it so no one knows their actual name and emails, like because again, you're still sharing data with the internet, but like you don't have to have their real name, but it's Jane is so and so. Um, but to monitor, so update their intake form, update their starting point, update their meal plans, update whatever, and then you're like, okay, I want to recreate the way she's currently eating that's very similar to how she's currently eating, right? The flavors that she likes, maybe it's like she loves pancakes and we're going to do a variation of that, like the flavor she likes, the taste she likes, but that is made from real whole foods and in this manner and within this caloric intake or this protein goal or this fiber goal. So again, it can do errors with that. You still need to know. Like I know looking at a recipe how much protein is in that. I will know actually even looking at a recipe what it will taste like because I've created so many recipes and built so many things, right? I'll know what's missing. I'm like, it's probably bland because there's not XYZ in it. But you still have to direct it, but it gives you that kind of, you have this profile for your client. You then can recreate things very quickly. You still have to monitor it. And a lot of times there will be errors. You're like, no, that's not actually a balanced meal. That is actually too much protein. Da, 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 da. But then you can also do your weekly tracking and you could do your weekly accountability. So, like, oh, they haven't seen any results this week. Why do you think they're plateauing? Can you help me like look through the data? Why do you think they're plateauing? Oh, because they didn't actually follow the meal plan 3 days out of 5 or whatever it is, right? So you create these different projects for each of your clients. So I just find it's such a thing that, like you said, it's something we can't rely on these like, okay, I just have this one meal plan or one thing workout plan I'm giving to my clients and vice versa. We can't just be like, oh, chat GPT, build me out an entire workout plan for this person, but using it as an assistant and a tool to help to fast track. Like that's what I really see AI as, is a fast tracking tool.
Mm. Yeah, no, and it totally is that. And it's meant to be a support, but not your entire business, in my opinion. Because as soon as you start making it your own business or like your whole business, then you're really losing the element of coaching. Like you're pulling away from the thing that people are hiring you for, which is the actual coaching aspect. Because anybody can plug into ChatGPT and be like, I want to lose 10 pounds. How do I lose 10 pounds? And it'll give them a plan. But they're not going to follow it. So they need you. Right. And that's why people are still hiring coaches, and that's why they'll continue to hire coaches. So you have to make sure that you keep that element in your business. Um, okay, now when it comes to Mary and it comes to coaching, my biggest thing when it comes to coaching that I would marry and that I would say every single coach should do for the rest of their lives is create inclusive programming. um, Programming when it comes to movement, when it comes to any type of programs. If you are creating a program that is only, unless it is like you're creating a program that is specifically geared towards, like, I'm working with marathon runners, I'm working with people who are, um, I don't know, like dragon boat racers or things like that. Like, and it's
Yeah.
so specific. If you have a very specific niche, that's different. But if you were creating a fitness program or a wellness program or anything that is going to be more of like a blanket, I would say creating inclusive programming is one of the most important things you should do. You should create a program that allows for people to always feel challenged but not overwhelmed, that should feel included, they should feel supported, they should leave feeling excited. They should always, have something where you're meeting your clients where they're at. And that could go for anything. It could go for movement, it could go for nutrition, it could go for anything, but creating a program that allows for them to feel like they are supported. And on top of that, my second part to that is also creating a program that is not just giving someone a program, but you're teaching them the skills to then implement it themselves so that they can learn life skills towards this. So, as coaches, we should be teaching people, not just giving them, like, here, follow this. And I'm not going to tell you why, and I'm not going to show you how, and I'm not going to do these things. I'm just going to give you this program that you follow A to Z. Because then what happens is what we see in the industry over and over again is people do a program, they finish a program, they feel good about the program, but then they go back to their old habits. So if we want to actually help people change for the rest of their life and change the trajectory of their health, we have to make sure that we're actually teaching them the skill of movement or the skill of nutrition or the skill of wellness and things like that as we go through it. So these are things that we talk about in our academy all the time. And it's such an important piece on it because, I know, Laura, you always say, like, especially in our holistic nutrition weight loss coaching program, like, we want to get to a place where your clients fire you. um and I think that that's such an important aspect and such an important concept from a coaching standpoint. And I know anyone who's listening is probably like, no, wait, I don't want my clients to fire me. I want them to, like, stay with me forever because I want to be able to generate revenue and build a business. But it's like, no, you want to be able to actually give them the skills to change their health, to change their family's health, to change their community's health. And so creating inclusive programming, but also teaching the skills of health is one thing that I would marry forever, never, never.
Yeah. And mine again kind of goes alongside of this is my Mary is behavior change coaching. So as a coach, I think so many times, and I know I used to coach like this, so there's no shade because of course when you're first learning coaching, you've got all this information and you love sharing information, but you don't know how to get people to a transformation, which is people will call themselves a coach, but they're not really, they're an information sharer. Like a coach actually helps to change behavior because if we can't change what people do, right, if we can't change the way that people actually, like their identity, like who they believe they are, the behaviors they do daily, their habits, like we will not change them for the long term. They're following a program then, but they're, as a person, they're still the same person, and that's the way that humans are built, right? We will go back to what we are familiar with, we will go back to who we currently are. We cannot, like, I love identity work because the truth is that we will never do something that is against who we believe we are, not what we want. What we want is different than who we believe we are. So if we don't know how to understand who our clients currently believe they are, how they currently act, how they currently feel, and if we don't know how to shift that into what do they need to, who do they need to become, what do they need to think, what do they need to do to change their behavior, they never will. They're just going to be following a plan. So it's, to me, when it comes to coaching, we have to understand how to change behavior. And one of the things I talk about a lot about in certification is, you know, kind of these three, it's actually, well, there's four B's, but there's your brain, your body, behavior, and your business, right? So when you're coaching, you have to know those four things. You have to know how to be able to, and I used to just say brain, body, business, but the behavior needs to be its own thing. Like there is the way that your client, what they think, that drives everything. There's their physical body, because we do have to do certain things to get the body in balance. There's the habits, which is the behavior, which is the change for the long term. And then how do we incorporate that into our coaching business? So I think that's like the big missing piece. A lot of people are starting to implement mindset work and they're starting to understand hormones and like how to get the body into balance, but they don't understand how to help someone change their behavior. And that's what really creates the lasting transformation. So that for me is the one that I would marry. And when I started looking at that, teaching that, looking at even in my own life, like the changes that I've had. Because again, it's fascinating how we will resist change so much if we don't know how to change.
So true. It's so good. Now, okay, so when it comes to kill, what do we want to kill when it comes to coaching? So for me, I think the biggest thing is when it comes to coaching, I think that especially when it comes to online programs, okay, so this is
Mm-hmm.
specifically towards online programs. I want to get rid of the idea of the sign up and see you later programs. So this is something that we label a lot of online programs, sign up and see you later programs, because what you do, and unless it's positioned that way, like unless it's marketed as like a DIY, like you buy the program, you do it on your own, good luck.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of programs that are not marketed that way. And I think from a coaching standpoint, and this goes back to even the thing we were talking about when we were talking about Kiss is, the biggest thing that people are hiring you for is they're hiring you not only for your knowledge and your expertise, but they're hiring you because they need the support. If people didn't need that, if it wasn't an important aspect when it came to coaching, they would just go on ChatGPT and develop a fitness program and a nutrition program and a wellness program for themselves to get the results. But people are doing that and then they're still not doing the programs. They're getting gym memberships and they're not going to the gym. They're getting the meal plans, they're getting the supplements and they're not taking them. Why? And it's because they need a coach. They need someone to support them on the journey because change is challenging. It is hard. And changing your health is a really big thing. There's a lot of stuff that's tied to it. And so when we have these programs that we're positioning, especially online programs where we're like, and we're going to give you this and this and this, but then you literally are just like, here, download this ebook and good luck to you. You're basically you're not setting your clients up for success. And for me, that's a kill because I'm like, we need to take responsibility when we position it that way. If we again, if you market it as like this is just like this is an ebook, you can download it, or this is a program that you download and do on your own, and it's marketed that way, that's great. But if you're doing something where you are telling people this is a fully supported program, and then you're not actually following through and showing up and asking them their questions and figuring out their why and supporting them and helping them identify why they need to show up for this and why they want to continue down this pathway, you're doing them an injustice. And so I think as
Mm-hmm.
coaches, we need to really take ownership of that feeling of like, I need to show up for my clients because that's what they're hiring me for. And if you're not ready to take on that responsibility, develop programs that are DIY and sell it that way, but market it that way. That's just, it's kind of a thing that for me, I know like even in our academy, we talk about this all the time. Like, think about how many courses you've taken, Laura, that you literally sign up and nobody cares if you show up for it or not. Like,
Yeah.
multiple.
We're even currently in a business coaching group where like we haven't sent in anything, been to a call. No one's even messaged in to be like, hey, are you guys still alive? Like,
Are you okay?
and renewals are coming up and like, are we going to renew with this? No, like that's the part, like it's those things. And that also ties in also to customer service. Like we have to kill this idea of like bad customer service as well, please,
Oh
people. I
gosh, yeah.
said that as a side note, but like the art of customer service, I just feel like is so overlooked when it comes to online coaching. And people, and this again is not to shade online, but it's like so many people just think because it's online, you don't have to give the same level as if somebody came into your fitness studio, right?
Yeah.
And even in a lot of fitness, like I am just all about the above and beyond. And I just find if you give that to your clients, they will stay with you forever. But
Yeah.
my one too is around the one size fits all approach. I just think we
Mm.
have to, like, there is an art and a science to coaching, right? There are proven things that work, but there is an art to it. Like, there is a way you have to be able to take these concepts, in which is where going back to the kiss, like, where even ChatGPT can really help with, right? Like, I have a client who is not being compliant. Like, I need some help. This is what I've tried so far. What else could I try? You know what I mean? Like, it just is a way to help you brainstorm or see things maybe you can't see.
Yeah.
But there's an art and a science to it. It's not just this is what you do, this is what you don't do. This is how many calories you eat, this is what you don't eat. You know what I mean? Which is still a way, like, so many people are just like, no, these are good foods and these are bad foods. It's like, okay, maybe that food is labeled as bad. However, there is a human being who might have an emotional relationship with that food, who ate that food when they were a child and it comforted them, right? So this is where the art and the science come in. So it's like not, it's a way of even delivering the coaching conversation, the way of saying things, the way to like navigate that. It's so important because there's human beings involved. And if it was just as easy as like black and white, one size fits all, this is right, this is wrong, then everyone would be at their goals, everyone would be at their results, and there would be no obesity, there would be no, everyone would just be healthy. If it's like this is the way
That's
you
just
do it,
it.
exactly. Now there are
Mhm.
the foundations, but again, there's like the art to it. So I just feel like for me, that's got to go. Like it's got to go. Just the coaches who are like, no, this is what I was trained in. This is the way it works. It's like,
It has to be all or nothing. It has to be this.
yeah, there's a gray
It's
area to so many things, but those are the best coaches who can navigate through that, right? And
Mhm.
who can see a person and be like, okay, this is how fast I need to introduce new habits with you. Right? Some clients, they're going to take 5 new habits at once, be able to change it all. Some one tiny habit. And they're like, "What do you mean we're not yet overhauling my whole nutrition?" It's like, "Well, because we just need to master one little habit first and we're going to build on that." Like it's not a race. It's about being able to block, like stack on top of these things. And but how do you have that conversation in a way that makes your client feel empowered instead of feeling like, oh, well, what's wrong with me that I'm only doing one little habit, or also being able to, deal with self-sabotage. Like all of these things tie into being a great coach. And I just think we have to get out of this one size fits all. There are good foods, there are bad foods, there's a specific way for everybody. Everybody will thrive differently in different environments with different foods based on all different factors. So we have to start to take that into consideration. And
Mhm.
the other thing too is just even like, where we live, the access to food we have, food insecurity, like the quality of the foods where we live, the quality of the soil, like all of these things play into it. So just the one size fits all. It's just really hard as coaches because we want certainty, right? And like that makes us feel confident. It's like, I'm like, no, I'm certain this is the way you should follow this. And it's like, there is a science, there's always the foundations, there's the baselines. And then you have to learn how to work in the next level, which is kind of the personalization and the nuances based on that person. And
Mhm.
I think that was one of the hardest things for me when I started coaching too, is like I wanted everything to be black and white. I wanted to know, is this right? Is this wrong? Right? Because then it made you feel certain, it made you feel safe. And it's like the older I get, it's the hardest thing to tell people, even our students. I'm like, well, like even with broccoli is a good food, but broccoli is also could be a bad food for some people because, if they have digestive issues, it could irritate their IBS. Like there is no right or wrong.
It's basically like you walk the gray area consistently as a coach, because you
Yep.
have to
It's
kind of
hard.
look at what is working for each person. Do you remember the time that, well, of course you remember this, but where you hired the fitness coach to do your fitness competition, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna just, like, use the same coach to develop a program." I had no idea. I didn't wanna do a fitness competition, but they gave me, and when we compared notes, we had the exact same fitness programming and
Yeah.
the exact same nutrition programming. Now Laura's 5'11" and I'm 5'3". We had different goals. We have very different body types and very different body compositions. And I was like, why do we have the same of everything? That makes
Yep.
no sense. But that's what happens so many times with coaches. It's just like, "Oh, well, no, I know that if you just eat this and you just eat egg whites and you just do this, you'll hit the stage." And like, but I was like, "No, but we're so different." And so we have to be paying attention. We have to pay attention to this because that is again going back to everything that we were talking about today. That's what people are hiring you for. They're hiring
Yeah.
you for the personalization, they're hiring you for the complexities, they're hiring you to be their coach, not to be a general coach, to be their coach.
Well, and I think it just goes back to what you were saying at the beginning. If you're selling it as a general coaching or a hands-off program or a self-led program,
Totally different.
that's totally different. But I think it's, as coaches, which is why at the academy we always try to build in so much practical like practice and also, self-reflection and like not experiments, but like practicing things on yourself because you have to understand what it feels like. You have to understand what if like a real human being is going through. And the more you practice and you see different clients, it becomes more, evident to you that you're like, okay, what works with Susie is not going to work with Jane. You know what I mean? Like she's thriving on this. She's motivated. She's so excited. And, Jane just feels like she's constantly coming up against roadblocks. Like, but once you know how to set up programs that in advance that can work with both people and you have the coaching tools, it becomes easier to navigate. So that is our Kiss Mary Kill for coaching. So hopefully you
Love
guys
it.
got some stuff out of this. I love talking about coaching. I think it's just such an interesting field to be in and it's such an interesting like because I remember when I used to think being a coach meant you were like the leader. Like you were the expert, they were the student. And really being a coach is a guide helping your client discover what actually works best for them and helping them become a different person, right?
Mhm.
Through nutrition, through fitness, through whatever it is you coach with. But yes, you have an expertise to bring to the table, but they also have to, like, you're guiding them through this process of implementing that new
And
lifestyle.
self-discovery for them, right?
Yeah.
It has to be a discovery and it has to be something that you're basically just like, um, you're like the what is the word? You're just like you said, the guide. I was thinking about like a trip, like when you go on a trip and you have like someone, but it is a guide, like the person who's leading you up the mountain.
Yeah. But it takes so much pressure off you as a coach when you realize, like, I don't have to have every answer. I have to help them also uncover their own answers.
Well,
So
that's just
it
it.
really is, that's where
Yeah.
the art comes in of it. So hopefully this was helpful, guys. And if you like this Kiss Mary Kill conversation, let us know. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, drop in the chat below what is your Kiss Mary Kill for coaching? And maybe it's the same as ours, maybe it's different. I would love to know. And then also make sure that you are checking out our upcoming holistic nutrition weight loss coach certification. We are opening up our next cohort. It starts on October 27th. So early bird enrollment is about to open. You want to make sure you are on the wait list. So go to fitchicksacademy.com/HWLC to get on that. And yeah, I'm really excited for this group. We're going to have a lot of fun. I've got lots of good stuff up my sleeve for it. So everybody listening, make sure to check it out. And we will see you next week in Fit Chicks Chat. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.